Hi and welcome everyone to this 30th episode of The Little Inside. My name is surprisingly still Tobi, and this week we're going to talk about how to change others. So let's get started to change others right after the intro. Have you ever wondered how you could make your noisy neighbors more quiet, or how to make your angry spouse a bit more peaceful and pleasant? You probably have. At least I did many times in my life, and I still very often wonder how to change other people. So this seems to be very common. A lot of people constantly wonder about how can I really save this world? How can I make it a better place? How can I change all those bad people into good people? And when reflecting on that, really, then the first thing that comes to mind is that the way another person appears to me is not actually the way that this other person is. In fact, I would even say that it is impossible for my mind to really actually see another person as that person really is. The only thing I can ever see is what I have learned to see or what I know to see. My perception is totally conditioned. So what I see is based on my mood, it is based on the way I feel right now, it is based on my culture, the way I've been raised, and so forth. So for example, I might see a few very noisy tourists coming into Phuket, let's say a group of Chinese, and they're known over here to speak very loudly. And so then I look at these Chinese tourists and I feel, oh my God, they're very noisy. But for their perception, the way they talk is just really normal, like the way I would feel I'm talking. And so that there is a clash there. It's a clash not of people, it's more a clash of perceptions and what we feel the other person should be like. And where does that come from? Why do we feel the need to change other people? So let's face it, we very often feel the need to change other people because we are suffering their presence. We are not happy with the way they are. Let's say you see another person being angry, you'd rather have them skipping on a meadow, smiling, singing happy songs, rather than seeing them angry because you are suffering their anger. So then, of course, you have the idea, well, it would be nicer if that person wasn't that angry. Maybe that person should meditate more. I get this question actually really often. Tobi, how can I bring my mother to meditation? How can I make my sister meditate a little bit more? She really needs it. And so that really shows that in that moment we are really suffering the way that the other person is, right? And you can observe that for yourself. I'm not asking you to believe my words in any way, but to actually observe this and witness it for yourself. The next time when you feel, oh, I would rather have that other person act or speak differently, where does that really come from? Does that come from a sense of a pleasant abiding? Do you feel happy within yourself when you are feeling and thinking that way? Or does it rather come from a state of unhappiness and lack? Right? When we want to change or improve something, always comes from the sense of, well, it's not quite good enough the way it is. And so this is pretty endless, isn't it? So as long as we do not see this pattern operating, then we constantly feel that we need to change other people and make them into better people and help them to lead a better life. Another thing that I would like to reflect upon is the fact that most of us really don't have any clue how to lead a happier life ourselves. Very often we suffer from our own anger, we suffer from our own guilt, from panic attacks. Many of us can't sleep properly at night. Depression is abundant these days. So even we don't know what to do with ourselves, it seems. We don't even know how to change ourselves. We're quite helpless there. And this is one of the first kind of, I always call it the first kind of insight that arises when you start practicing meditation. The insight that our mind is just a complete chaos. It's a complete mess. It's just wandering around, going to memories, to anticipations, from hopes to fears, and just jumping around like a wild monkey. And then we react to that wild monkey very often with the wish to change that into a peaceful, meditating monkey. This will not happen as long as we are approaching ourselves with resistance from the point of view that the way I am is not good enough, and I need to kind of fix who I am and make it better, improve it, so that then later I can be happy and I can enjoy my life. And that's precisely the same kind of approach, isn't it? It's the same kind of approach than the approach that is going towards other people who are not good enough and so forth. So we can say that whenever we feel that there's another person that needs some change, then it comes out of our own knowledge of, or our own kind of unhappiness with the way things in general are. And it starts within ourselves. As I said in the beginning, of course, there are ways to change other people. And so how can we actually change another person? Here again, the answer is simple. You can change another person by showing them how it's done, by leading with your example. Lecturing others doesn't really help, as you might have also noticed already. It doesn't help to go around and preach to be a goody-goody, but you yourself, inside of yourself, there's a mess going on. You're full of negative emotions, and you feel depressed, you feel guilty, you feel shameful about yourself. And then you go around and try to fix the world. Of course you know already that this doesn't work. But once you start to pick up the work, meaning you start to become more mindful and you cultivate presence, you cultivate insight, wisdom and kindness with yourself, things are changing really from the inside out. And when that change happens, then all of your friends that are around you and family members and all of those people that you meet for the first time that you don't know yet, and people that even don't like you or that you haven't liked previously, you're approaching them differently. You're coming from a different kind of energy. And that allows them to change. And what I've found most powerful agent of change, both for myself and then in turn effortlessly for other people who are in my presence, is the ability to acknowledge and accept the way it is right now. That doesn't mean taking a passive stance. I've said that many, many times. To see the way it is doesn't mean to go into some sort of withdrawal and become a mindful zombie, but it means to actually clearly have a sharp mind and to see with mindfulness what is going on inside of yourself, and then simply, before you do anything to it, allow it to be there. Give it some space. And while you're giving it some space, watch what happens to it. As you're gently smiling at, for example, your feeling of anger or sadness or grief, staying patiently, calmly with those feelings, you'll notice that they slowly dissolve. It's almost as if your anger has a sort of intelligence and it knows how to heal itself. All you need to do is just leave it alone. Watch it while it is there. And then give it space, a kind, friendly, and warm space. You want to be really nice to your anger. That is going completely against our usual habit to oppose anger from anger. It's like a dog kind of trying to bite its own tail, isn't it? You're angry at your anger. You're worrying about your worries. That, of course, doesn't lead to any resolution. So we have to learn the art of receiving ourselves and all our neurotic mental tendencies, all the conditions that are within and without, with an attitude of spaciousness, friendliness, kindness, or warmth. And within this attitude, it's almost like magic, but things tend to dissolve and fix themselves. Things that are not important dissolve, they just fall away. And things that are important, that need to be brought up, that need to be discussed, they're naturally being discussed. But not in an atmosphere of, the way you are is not right, please let me fix you. But in an atmosphere of really appreciation of the way it is, understanding the way it is. And so understanding is the foundation of a good communication. A good communication is helping to build solutions. This is all well-known stuff, right? And so it boils down to the practice of that. And instead of practicing by changing other people, making them more kind and accepting, you can simply practice being more accepting and kind towards your own various emotional states and thoughts, towards your own body, learning to leave it alone, not touch it for a little while. I'm not saying not touching it 24/7 for the rest of your life. You should be totally an observer all the time, totally above everything. You will not be able to do this. Nobody can. It's a gradual path. But maybe start with giving yourself a break for, I don't know, 30 minutes each day. Sit down quietly. Don't touch. Don't do anything to yourself. Instead, appreciate the way things are and leave them alone. Don't touch them. An example of how to change others that I often give would be this kind of lighthouse story. A lighthouse that stands on the shoreline on a cliff somewhere is not jumping into the ocean and swimming over to get all the ships out of the water, but it stands there and it simply shines its light, and it sends out a signal. It does that naturally. This is the function of a lighthouse. And so whatever ship wants to return to the harbor, that will know where to look, and it will find the lighthouse and it will follow the light. So in that same way, if you are working on yourself and you make that a priority, then other people will gradually be more and more inspired by your presence. It's quite a natural process. People are inspired by happy, satisfied, content people. And that way you can change the world if everyone really would make that a priority. Also that, I said it many times, if everyone would make it a priority to cultivate release, to let go, to be at ease and happy inside, to cultivate kindness, kind action, kind speech, kind thought, then this world would be definitely a much better place, right? Even if a few more people would just really make that their priority, of letting go of the war within themselves, of freeing the world from this oppressive self that constantly feels like it must manage someone, it must do something to someone else or to itself, because it feels always not good enough. So I hope that this little reflection was in some way helpful, and it pointed you a little bit into a healthy direction of practice, a meaningful direction of practice. As usual, if you have any questions, if you like to know a few more details about this topic, feel free to comment down in the comment section below. And you can also write me an email if you like. The email address is also in the comment section below. Not in the comment section, but you can find it in the little kind of description of the video. You can find my email address. If you want to write anything or have a question, just let me know. These little insights, they're usually published every week, and the last few weeks I didn't do any of those insights. We've been quite busy with moving to the new place, setting up a new studio, as you can see behind me. From now on I will do the little insights here with the way it is right now. It makes things a bit more simple and easy for me. So I hope that this was useful. And I'm looking forward to see all of you guys again next Wednesday. And for now, I say bye-bye and enjoy your week.